Hello, everybody. It is me, Game Penguin 21, and today, oh boy, do I have a big ass video for you. This thing is literally unable to bear a lot of the salt because this is the part where I tend to usually fall behind in the salt game because there's just so many different video games and things that come out, so much different salt and topics to cover that, to be quite honest, I'm probably not going to get through all of this in this video, and I'm not even going to get into the fact that I made a tweet deck during the X Defiant thing that I think would be really funny. It also doesn't take into the account that I actually have to go through my comment section, and I have a comment section video that is, I think, came out already or is going to come out. But obviously, with the Game Awards and everything kind of ramping up, and hopefully when this video comes out, the salt tweets are kind of ramping down at this point, or hey, this comes out beforehand. Whatever the case may be, this is more of a filler video, but it is a filler video that contains a lot of different topics. So today, welcome back to another episode of Topic Parkour, or at least what I'm going to dub that because, I mean, I didn't come up with it. I would definitely say that Rev came up with that idea. But this is just a bunch of different things that I just wanted to talk about this week. So with that being said, let's get started. So we're going to start off, of course, with the Indiana Jones type stuff, where people came out with a lot of different weirdness to it. It actually became quite a big seller, and a lot of people looked at it and said, oh, this game's a failure because it actually ended up being this way, without taking into account that it, well, hopped up to the third highest selling game of the top sellers within the week that it came out. So there's that. But let's take a look at some of the things, starting of course off with the spec sheet here. Bethesda basically posted out the spec sheet. This was before the game released, by the way, so we're going to be going into a little bit of a time warp here, with Portal Rock saying, can a $700 PC run this game at the recommended settings? With PC is King saying, Lamau, the Pro ain't even running this at recommended settings next year. Someone tag Mr. Softy, he blocked me. So, you know. And of course, people were also clowning on the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle PC requirements, which, to be fair here, a lot of this actually does suck a very big amount because there's a lot of things. One of the big things that I wanted to just point out with this, since I have the PC specs up here, is the fact that it requires 120 gigabytes of storage. Modern gaming. That's really the only thing I have to say about that. I don't really have much else to say on that topic, other than that there's a lot of people out there talking about it. But we'll come back around to Indiana Jones, because the next thing that I saw on Twitter is this tweet by Endymion that was redone by someone called Plot Viking, where Endymion says, I will have a new video tomorrow exposing Rockstar. Grand Theft Auto 4, have they been bought out to the agenda? We're going to find out. And I don't even need to say anything other than what Plot Viking here says, so I'm just going to basically steal what he says, because I think it's really funny. Saying these people need to be bullied out of the gaming conversation. Thousands of games release every year, and their whole personality is talk about, quote, woke things in games. Now, I don't think about bullying people out of the gaming community. I think that that's a little bit of a strong suit, but I definitely think that you shouldn't take what these people say, at least in the deem anything as woke or for the agenda, too seriously. I mean, at the end of the day, it's mostly for entertainment purposes, because that's what we do as YouTubers and stuff. But overall, like, as soon as you start saying the word woke, my entire eyeballs just glaze over so quickly that I just go back to playing the finals and stop worrying the fuck about this. So, yeah. But of course, we then have Icon Era here, talking about how Indiana Jones and the Great Circle peaked at around 8,148 current Steam users and is a PC flop. Despite the fact that, again, this game was actually made around the same time, or was actually then the fourth top sellers list overall on Steam. This includes the Steam Deck in number 2, which, by the way, is still a top seller for whatever reason on Steam. I don't know why. But even if you take that out and just look at the video games, it became the top 3, knocking out games such as CSGO, which is actually free to play, as well as a couple other games, including like Overwatch 2, which isn't that much of a big deal. But it also only really lost the second place title because it was released alongside Marvel Rivals, which Marvel Rivals was in second place at the time that I took at least this screenshot. Hopefully I find the screenshot before anything else. But if the screenshot's not there, Marvel Rivals, which is a free-to-play game, was number 2, which means that this game, launching at, I believe, full price, was number 3 and was just under it by, like, not that far of a margin. What the fuck? So, yeah, PC flop. But of course, people were always throwing around this $5,000 thing with, of course, people talking about it. And it's just really funny to me how people were like, oh, these numbers are good. They just don't look so good and they're really bad and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, obviously, this game did really well. It might not be a great game or the best game ever to be released, but overall, it was a very competent Indiana Jones game that kind of harkens back to the original series and is, quote, for a modern audience, which a lot of people tended to use against the game, but I mean, it worked. So, whoops. But of course, one other thing here that I just wanted to talk about, which a little bit of these things, which is very strange, is that Call of Duty had like a mastercraft where you could smoke out of your gun and like smoke weed and stuff. And Drama Alert, as well as a bunch of other people, again, this is a much smaller thing, talked about how they're getting backlash for promoting drug use, which I don't think this is promoting drug use, but I mean, it's a gun that you could smoke out of, so most likely. And then they say they're banning people who are swearing, which is a very weird double standard if you think about it. Because again, this Mastercrafts that's available in the store is literally themed after weed and smoking, and you smoke it literally in your first-person animation. So yeah, oops. But of course, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this thing, and since we're doing topic parkour today, we're going to be talking about someone who I haven't talked about in a little bit, and that being Astro Cyborg, but more specifically MBG, who I get a lot of my at least MBG news from. I wanted to talk about quickly about this clip, which more or less deserves its own video, but I wanted to throw some numbers out there and really dive into what this is. So let's do this. So the tweet here says Astro Cyborg is telling MBG and quoting them saying Steam is a lot smaller than PlayStation. And here's.
And I see somebody mention this. Valve doesn't have the power of PlayStation's brand. It's not even just... Valve is a lot smaller. You know, Steam, right? Like, that whole segment, while it is very popular and does very well, it's also a lot smaller. And so there's, like, pros and cons.
So the clip kind of cuts off there, so that was just about 20 seconds, and he basically states, like, oh yeah, Steam is a lot smaller. While Steam itself is a lot smaller of a company overall, maybe not employing as many employees as, say, Sony does. I'm not sure how specifically many employees Valve has because they don't have that. But just to break some numbers for you, Mr. MBG, as to how quote-unquote small this thing is, Steam nearly had 4 million concurrent players, breaking records within the actual year, if I remember correctly. If you want to actually see this, this is from DualShockers, which is really funny because I believe that is a PlayStation-centric news site, which I find very funny. But it was according to SteamDB that they raised almost about 39 million concurrent players, nearly cracking 40 million within one single day. And this is all concurrent players, mind you, meaning that they're all playing at one time. Whereas people on Steam, specifically here, there's 132 million active monthly users. This is about 10 to 20 million more than PlayStation, which concurrently actually speaks as of June 2024, so this is a few months out of date, but the approximate network load that they have within that month is actually 116 million. So, yeah. Steam is, quote, very small in comparison to PlayStation, despite the fact that they have more approximately monthly users and sometimes even more daily users than the amount of PlayStation. This is also not coming into the account that PlayStation doesn't have that very good of a customer service rep, whereas Steam does, as well as several different accounts of where Steam has gone down sometimes, but PlayStation Network was hacked at least no more than 5 to 6 times within the past couple of years. So, yes, while PlayStation might be a bigger company-wise in terms of the amount of employees and possibly the amount of money that they come into, in terms of actual platform stability and platform dominance, unfortunately, Steam has far more users monthly and even sometimes daily, depending on those numbers, really, to PlayStation. So that is unfortunate. Wamp, wamp. So, yeah. Again, just blasting through that section because I really wanted to talk about that because I did some really cool research and it was just really funny to say that Steam was actually, quote, smaller than the PlayStation Network, despite the fact that Steam, again, sold 2 to 1 on a lot of the PlayStation games that were released on Steam. So, oops. But of course, we have more news to cover because I'm doing some very interesting, weird news parkour here. With a retweet from Delta Force hitting around 113,000 players, by the way. This, to me, wasn't the, greatest of news to really cover. I just wanted to say that a game that I actually fucking love, which is, by the way, Delta Force, yet another free-to-play first-person shooter that, of course, also had some controversies at it, mainly with the anti-cheat that some people really just didn't like. Overall, it didn't stop them from hitting 113 million all-time players, and I'm fairly certain that those 113 would really come down to, China, though I'm not too certain on that. It's just really funny how, again, 113, not 113 million, I don't know why I kept saying that, maybe because I have the millions done on the brain, but 113,000 concurrent players at the all-time peak for Delta Force. Awesome. So, yeah, if you like some Battlefield, go ahead and blast them out, because, well, yeah, the antivirus might be a little bit thing, and it might need a little bit of a video sometime later, but that's a next year kind of thing. We're just going to go right past it and say, good job, Delta Force, for releasing at a time when things were very competitive and taking up a lot of people's time. Fuck yeah, dude. Sorry, I also hit the microphone. But speaking about more specifically Valve-type news, we have Brian Lynch confirms evidence that pointing at Valve releasing a Steam box for Fairmont, a living room console for the full-sized HDMI port. Now, this is, of course, rumors and supposed leaks of things happening, so I'm not too certain about that. Maybe at the time, and if there is more updates to this video, which I will probably take a couple weeks to edit, so yeah, but this whole Valve making a home console thing should scare people because, again, with the earlier decidence of, well, the 130 monthly active users and the nearly 40 million concurrent active players on the one day that I presented earlier in the video, this should at least scare some of the console developers into possibly making better games. Though, unfortunately, of course, this is 10 years anniversary, which is coming out next year, so maybe... But Valve has been doing a lot more in the hardware space, considering, again, the Steam Deck has been a top seller for 148 weeks, by the way. I did actually look that up. I was surprised. Jesus Christ. So, yeah. Next up here, we have Spawn Up with another very small thing with Mr. P3DO, or should I say Dr. P3DO here, with the good old Dr. Disrespect reacts to people calling him a pedo in his chat. I don't even need to play the 22-second clip because this screenshot to tell you the entirety of this situation. I'm just going to leave it on there. I will also like to mention that this guy worked on at least 2 of the different Call of Duties, as well as worked on at least several different other games as well, including one where he got kicked off the project when these allegations came out. I would also like to mention that this dude, I believe, is in his 30s, though I am not too certain. So, I mean, overall, if this is the kind of the face of a man who looks the most regal in this screenshot and is clearly, very clearly not the kind of person that people say that he might be because of supposed allegations. So, yeah. Really have nothing else to say on that, just that this was a really funny screenshot and a really funny clip. So, yeah. Congratulations, Dr. Disrespect. You are just gaining so much respect to everyone ever. Gotta love it. Moving right along, we have here Snap Blast Play saying instead of buying a €700 PS5 Pro or PlayStation should release a 1440p all-digital 250 PS5 Series S, which I think is not that bad of an idea. I think that actually would work and would actually give at least Microsoft some more interesting compatibility or at least some competition in the cheaper game space alongside, say, maybe Nintendo, but... Then Porter Rock comes in here saying no wonder Xbox consoles went to shit because he's advocating for them to sell a cheaper console that has worse specs at a lower price for the people who want to buy a PS5 but can't afford the higher amounts version. Huh. I mean, if they're going to throw away free money like that, sure. Congratulations. Whatever. Now, this is another one that is just more of some interesting positive news, where they talking about Infamous Second Young Son, even though it's 10 years old, still holds up very well and looks like a great game that came out this year. And I would tend to agree for like most of the time. I would say that maybe there's one or two things that are a little bit meh with it. I would personally like to see a PC release of Infamous Second Son. This game would sell like hotcakes. I would buy it in an instant. Like, dude, next to Bloodborne, Infamous is probably another series that you could really get some mileage out of, especially when you buy the actual game. I'm not sure if Infamous 2 is available on there, but I know that like the Vampire one was available, so I'm not too certain on it. But Infamous Second Son would be fucking awesome in this particular context on PC. I'm not sure if it is. It might be, though I don't remember. But next up here, we have Marvel Rivals, which I talked about a little bit earlier in the video because it became the second most concurrently, at least in this one, top seller on Steam. Top seller being weird because again, it's a free-to-play game, but still it was in the top sellers list. But Mike Yarabra says, looks like Overwatch Marvel Rivals ships tomorrow, much like Light at the end of Majoratum, I guess. Of China. I mean, even the character named Widowmaker in Overwatch versus Black Widow in Marvel Rivals, lol. So it's basically all the same thing, where he basically tries to point out that Widowmaker and Overwatch, Widowmaker's Overwatch and Black Widow's in Marvel Rivals were kind of based on the same person, or based in of each other. Despite the fact that readers added context. Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, is a popular Marvel hero who made her comic debut in 1964, more than 50 years before Overwatch and Widowmaker were created. This poster is spreading misinformation, with a link to the Marvel website. Sir, while you may have created the game, and may know a lot of the characters in the game, the unfortunate thing is, the characters existed way before Overwatch in terms of Marvel. So if you're going to say that the abilities are the same, sure, that can be arranged and that can be fine. But if you're saying that they're based on the same character, no, Black Widow came first, so... Anyway, moving on. But of course, this was a big story that got picked up by several other things, which is just exacerbated by this screenshot here, so really nothing more to say on that, just that it was a really funny tweet and that the dude got community voted to shit. So, nice. Saying, not Overwatch getting double teamed, where they have Fortnite Ballistic, which I believe is the new first-person tactical mode, with Marvel Rivals also being there. Where Zunafi says every team shooter that releases is apparently an Overwatch killer, and 8 years later, Overwatch is still alive. I wouldn't say it's alive. I would say it's more on life support by the people who have the sunk cost fallacy, but it's still alive nonetheless. And again, it's still being given content and things to the point of where I think it's been out for almost 10 years at this point. I think it's like another 2 years, and it'll be out to 10 years of the anniversary. So good for Overwatch overall. But I mean, again, Overwatch in and of itself was deemed to be the TF2 killer, but TF2 is also still alive. So there could be multiple of the same type of genre in a gaming space. Just saying. Also, I might actually want to check out Fortnite Ballistic if it's an actual like first-person tactical mode, because that sounds fucking awesome for some reason, and I don't know why. So, yeah. Moving on to probably the bigger thing that happened towards the end of the whole thing, where apparently there was AI work being used in Black Ops 6. So cool. So according to at least the internet at large, these two images provided here, I know that these are a little bit cropped thanks to Twitter itself, but Call of Duty using AI, at least drawings and things in their game, does seem to be at least somewhat of an effect here with the whole too many fingers in the one image with the glove and the gobble gums there, as well as I don't know if that's supposedly an actual AI image, but it looks very close, so I'm going to assume that it is unless proven otherwise. But I find this to be the most scummy thing in the world, because this is Call of Duty we are talking about here. That game that will make all of the money, because there's a lot of people out there who like fucking Call of Duty. Maybe not, well, maybe that in a way too, but you know what I mean. Overall, this is a shitty situation, and also had some of the Black Ops 6 actors quit over the lack of AI protection, claiming in their contracts. This is basically meaning that their voices will not be used in an AI training software, so that way they can keep claim over their copywritten voice or over their voice in general. Which the contracts in that seemingly has to do that, and they now have to, be replaced by other things. Now, I know that in my personal favorite game, the AI voices are generated by actual people, but I would say in that context, it's a little bit different. Not by too much, just in the fact that those people do actually get compensation for attributing their voices to the AI voices. So every time they make like new lines or they make new other stuff, they still do get some of that income that is generated from the actual game itself. So I would say in that context, that's at least somewhat understandable, and their contract, I think, would be only limited to specifically the game itself, though I'm not too certain. Again, overall, this is just very, very dumb situation, and I don't think that AI should be used in that context, but should be used correctly in specific other contexts. Whew, that was a lot of information to get through, and a lot of the topic parkour. This isn't even getting into the fact that I basically told everyone to go play the finals and then was absolutely apparently lambasted on Twitter, which, I mean, a lot of people just responded to it and was really dumb debate for about like a day and a half, as well as several other things that had to do with the Indiana Jones and the Deep Circle that a lot of other people have covered, which will probably be, in your timeline nonetheless. But whenever this video does come out, whenever the actual Game Awards happen, which they haven't happened at the time of recording this video, so they probably will happen, and I will probably have Salt on that next week, in terms of when I'm recording this video. So, yeah. But overall, the unfortunate thing is that we have reached the end of this video, and I should really stop yapping. So, if you like what it is that I do and want to support me in any other way, shape, or form, other than like and subscribe, which is always enough, please hit that everything down in the description below. All of the links to those stuffs will be there. Releasing a new album early next year, probably either in end of January, early February. Don't know what it's going to be called. It's like album 6 of my music stuff, because I like to make music sometimes. But there will be no Christmas stuff this year because I don't really feel like it. Overall, I do appreciate everyone supporting me on every single platform that you do. And again, thank you so much for watching me yap about random topics for about 20 minutes. My name is GamePango21. If you like, my name is GamePango21, like I already said. And a peace off.